What's going on, guys? My name's Miller, and in today's video, we're going to do our very first division rankings prediction, and we're going to start it out with a bang in what might be the best division in baseball, and that's going to be the National League East. But before we get into that one, make sure you leave a like. Let us know if you guys want to see more content, more MLB recap content, all that kind of stuff. Comment down below how you think the NL East is going to turn out this year. That subscribe button helps me out a ton. At 100 subscribers, I'm going to be giving away a free MLB jersey and a free copy of MLB The Show 21 to one of you lucky subscribers. So make sure you do that to help me out. And last but not least, I started a podcast called the Diamond in the Rough podcast with a couple other content creators. Those links are going to be in the description below. Check that out if you haven't. So let's get into it. So we're going to start with where I think the division is going to go from bottom to top. And unfortunately for this team, number 5, we're going to have the Miami Marlins. And that's not because I don't think they're a good team. I think the Marlins they easily get third if they're in the National League West, and they're probably easily get second if they're in the National League Central. But they're in, like I said, the best division in baseball. So the Marlins, they have some good pieces. They have Pablo Lopez. They have Sandy Alcantara. They obviously have Sixto Sanchez. And they have some better guys offensively, like Brian Anderson, Garrett Cooper, up-and-coming guys like Jazz Chisholm and Lewis Brinson. We'll see if he can figure it out. But they just don't really have the pieces to compete with the heavy hitters in this division, the teams ahead of them. I mean, all the other teams, we'll get into it, but I think the Marlins are unfortunately a fifth-place team, probably just because of their inexperience. They don't really have any huge names. And their bullpen, they don't really have that many solid guys. They lost Ryan Stanek this year, or this offseason. They lost Brandon Kinsler, I believe. So when they just, I don't know. I don't think I know they made the playoffs in 2020, but that was a shortened season. The Phillies, the Mets got a lot better this offseason. The Braves are obviously really good, and I think the Nationals also got a lot better this offseason. So because of that, and the Marlins not making any moves, I do expect them to finish in 5th place in this division. Now, next up, we're going to have what I think is the 4th place team in that division, and that's going to be, for now, the Philadelphia Phillies. And if you haven't watched my prediction video that I posted yesterday, make sure you go check that out. I'm predicting them being in 4th place if they don't get the 2 pitchers that I wanted them to get yesterday, those being James Paxton and Shane Green. So if they go out and get James Paxton and Shane Green, I don't think they're a 4th place team, but currently as it stands, they don't have either of those guys. So I don't think they're better than the Braves, the Nationals, or the Mets. The Phillies, I mean, they have a really good offense, but they still have not very good pitching. I mean, when you look at their offense, they have guys like Bryce Harper. They brought back JT Realmuto and Didi Gregorius. They have Gene Segura. They have Rhys Hoskins. I mean, their up and down lineup is filthy. It's really, really good. They have Alec Boehm on the rise. But behind Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler in their starting rotation, they don't really have any solid guys. They have Vince Velasquez. They signed some guys to minor league deals, but I don't think their rotation is good enough to compete in this division behind those 2 top guys. And then in the bullpen, they do have Brandon Workman still. They have Hector Neris still. Those guys didn't perform that well last year. And then they also may get Sir Anthony Dominguez back, which will be a huge help. And they added Jose Alvarado to the bullpen. They also added Archie Bradley to the bullpen, which is definitely going to be a huge help. But they don't have the starting pitching or the bullpen depth to really solidly compete in this division. So that's why I expect them to be a 4th place team. They can prove me wrong, especially if they go out and get a couple more pitchers. I mean, they signed Matt Moore to a minor league deal, but Matt Moore hasn't been good in the major leagues in quite a long time. So they need a lot more pitching to be competitive like they want to be. So that's why I have them in 4th place for now. My 3rd place team, and this is where it gets pretty tricky because these top 3 teams, they're all really good. They all could bounce back and forth and compete. But in 3rd place, I've got the Washington Nationals, and that's only because I don't know how much faith I have in their lineup and some of their pitching. On paper, the Nationals, I mean, they obviously won the World Series in 2019, so you know what they're capable of. They still have guys like Trey Turner, Juan Soto. Those guys are absolutely incredible. They have Victor Robles out there in the outfield. They signed Kyle Schwarber. They traded for Josh Bell. They signed John Lester. So they've definitely made some moves to improve. But Josh Bell has had one good half of a season, and that's about it. I mean, he's been above average offensively, but his best half was in the first half of 2019. He struggled a lot in 2020. I'm hoping that he bounces back in 2021 and gives them what they need, but I don't know if I have a ton of faith in him to be that player that he was in the beginning of 2019. And then Kyle Schwarber, again, I mean, he can hit up 30-plus home runs, 40-plus home runs, but he doesn't hit for a high average. and I don't know if he's good as some of the other offenses in the league. They have Carter Kieboom on the rise as well, but we haven't seen much offensively from him yet. And as far as their pitching goes, I don't know what to expect. Max Scherzer's getting up there in age. Whether 2020, we're calling 2020 a bad season for Max Scherzer. He had about a mid-3s ERA. He wasn't that bad, but he was bad for Max Scherzer's standard. He didn't win the Cy Young. So I don't know if he's going to continue to regress a little bit because of his age. Steven Strasburg obviously has that injury history. He was injured in 2020. Not sure when he's going to be able to come back and be that ace pitcher again. And then after that, Patrick Corbin struggled in 2020. Hopefully he can bounce back in 2021. But still, we don't know exactly what we're going to get out of those three top guys. If they're all at their peak performance, then they have one of the best rotations in baseball. But if not, it's looking like the Nationals might not win as many games as they hope to. And then behind that, they have guys like Joe Ross, and they signed John Lester. John Lester is another guy who's up there in age. He signed a one-year contract. He's going to eat some innings for you, but I don't know how good those innings are going to be. I don't think he's an above-average quality starting pitcher anymore at this point in his career, but they do get a veteran presence in that bullpen, in that starting rotation, So it's not a bad move, but I don't think it's a super high-quality move. And then in the second spot, and I don't know if this is controversial or not, but I still have the New York Mets finishing in second place. They obviously have gone out. They've made some moves. They signed James McCann. They traded for Francisco Lindor. So those are two huge upgrades for them. I don't know. Maybe, if you haven't watched that prediction video that I made, if they go out and sign Trevor Bauer, that might change some things. But right now, I really like the Mets offense. I mean, we don't know exactly what we're going to get out of Dom Smith. We don't know if he's going to be as good as he was. Hopefully, Pete Alonso's a little bit better than he was in 2020, so maybe that balances out. But I do think a guy like James McCann is a little bit overrated offensively. He's only had one good season in the big leagues offensively. He's still an upgrade over what they had, but I don't know if that's going to be a huge improvement for them. They obviously traded for Francisco Lindor, who's a very good pickup. I mean, he's a franchise player. He's amazing. He's a huge improvement over at shortstop, but he did struggle a little bit in 2020. I don't expect that to happen, but I don't know if the Mets offense overall compares to the Braves offense. I mean, they have Michael Conforto, they have Jeff McNeil, they have Brandon Nimmo, so those guys are all really good, but I don't know if they have what it takes to overcome the Braves. And on the pitching side for the Mets, they obviously have the best pitcher in the world in Jacob deGrom, and then after that, they have guys that can bounce back, like Marcus Stroman, who didn't pitch in 2020, Noah Syndergaard didn't pitch in 2020. So if those two guys come back and they're elite, then again, that might change things, and if they go out and get Bauer, that will be incredible. And then after that, in their starting rotation, they have a couple depth pieces. They have like Robert Gesellman. They signed some guys to minor league deals, but they have a really good rotation if it all works out. But we don't know what we're going to get after Jacob deGrom. We don't really know what we're going to get out of the rotation for the Mets. I will say the Mets bullpen is probably one of their strongest parts of the team. They have Edwin Diaz, who was really good again in 2020. Most people don't know that, but he was better than in 2019. They have Seth Lugo, who's really good when he's a reliever. They have Dylan Betances, who I think is going to bounce back. They still have Jerry's Familia. They signed Trevor May. So they definitely have a really good bullpen. So that's why I like the Mets in the number 2 spot in this division. And then, last but not least, finishing in first place, once again in this division, according to my prediction, is the Atlanta Braves. And I know they lost some guys. I know so far they haven't signed back Marcell Ozuna. They lost Adam Duvall. But I just think this team is so good, so hard to compete with. I don't know if any other team in that division is going to compete with them. And that's because they have the reigning MVP in Freddie Freeman. They still have Dansby Swanson, who continues to get better every year. They have Ronald Acuna Jr. They have Christian Pache, who looks like a stud prospect. We haven't seen much offensively from him yet, but I do expect that he's going to be pretty good out there. They obviously have Johan Camargo. They have Austin Riley. Those two guys combined are pretty good. They have Ozzie Albies. They have Travis d'Arnaud. I mean, so up and down that lineup, it's really good. They have a ton of stud guys in the lineup to score runs. And then their pitching is just incredible. They have Mike Soroka coming back this year. They have Max Fried, obviously. They have Ian Anderson, who's underrated, really good. They have Bryce Wilson in the rotation. They signed Charlie Morton, who's a really good arm for them, a veteran presence in that rotation to help out the young guys. So the rotation is really good. And then in the bullpen, they did lose some pieces, but they still have a decent bullpen. They lost Aaron O'Day. They lost Shane Green so far. But other than that, they still have good pieces. They have AJ Minter. They have Grant Dayton. And they have one of the best lefties in the game in Will Smith. And again, in the rotation, they have guys like Kyle Wright coming up. They also have Touki Toussaint, Sean Newcomb. So they have lots of depth. They signed Josh Tomlin to a minor league deal. They also have Chris Martin in the bullpen, so they have a lot of good pitching, a lot of good options. Even though they did lose some guys, their rotation's really good. Their lineup is elite. So I don't know how any team in the National League East is still going to compete with the Braves. They were one game away from the World Series last year. They were up 3-1 against the Dodgers and unfortunately lost that series. But I don't know. To me, I think the Braves are still the team to beat in this division, and I don't see any team overcoming them yet in this division. There are still moves to be made. The Braves could make some moves. The Mets and the Nationals and the Phillies could certainly make some moves. I don't really expect the Marlins to do all that much because they're still technically rebuilding. But that's going to do it. I do think the Braves are going to win this division. That's going to do it for me in this one, guys. Make sure you hit that thumbs up down below. Let me know you want to see more content. Hit that subscribe button to enter the giveaway. And all of my socials and the Diamond in the Rough podcast are going to be linked in the description below. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.